Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk about a skill that's becoming just important as lesson planning, and is AI prompting. A prompt, so what it is, it's simply a set of clear instruction that you give to an AI. And a good prompt gives the AI the context it needs to be your most effective teaching assistant. So why it matters, why is that important? Because better prompt means less time spent editing hallucination or mistakes that the AI makes. So if you give the AI vague direction, you'll get vague output. But with a good prompting, you get high quality professional materials that are consistent and safe for your student. So as you can see, with good prompting, you get better efficiency, better quality. Is a like a junior colleague, no, that you once you teach them how to do things properly, then you will get better work from them. And also, there is a degree of risk management. Now, in our field, like language learning, we can use these frameworks because there are different type of frameworks for prompting, and we can use it for everything, like creating reading text, designing customer support role plays, analyze complex student errors. It's all about going above and beyond just chatting and more into a professional content creation. Common mistakes, common pitfalls. Um, so there are some type of mistakes that we need to avoid in order to keep the quality of the output a good quality. So the biggest mistakes are being too vague or providing no context. However, don't over specify, because otherwise you remove from the AI the creative room that can use to produce your material. And most importantly, never skip the review process, because as the teacher, you are the final human oversight to ensure compliance and accuracy. So I understand it saves you time, but you still have to review it a little bit. Because now, AI literacy and file safety. Safety is a paramount. Never put sensitive student data into these tools. We must also be mindful of GDPR and copyright. Remember the English saying, rubbish in equal rubbish out. To get better results, you need to break tasks down into smaller steps. You need to set the tone you want and provide reference text. So don't be afraid to iterate. If the first answer isn't perfect, just ask the AI to refine it. So especially at the beginning, you really need to smooth all the edges and understand how better saying things. Um, Now, let's have a look at the frameworks, because as I said, there are different type of frameworks that can help us to create this prompting. So think of the prompt framework as recipes. So you can follow structures like ape, race, or coast to ensure that you don't forget the important details. Now, let's have a look at the APE framework, that stands for action, purpose, and expectation. This is the simplest way to get a clear functional response for a specific teaching task. Let's go one by one. The action is where you use strong verbs like generate, analyze, create, be direct, and set the boundaries for what you want to be done. Then you have purpose. The purpose provides the why. So, are you preparing a lesson for A2 adults or a C1 exam? Define your target audience. Here is the key to getting the right level of language. And then expectation. The expectation defines the format. Do you want a table bullet points or a formal report? This is where you specify the tone, whether it's friendly, academic, or professional. So let's see the example. A teacher asked the AI to correct a Spanish paragraph for A2 learner, and you notice how the prompt asks for the correction and an explanation in simple English, plus a mini vocabulary list. The AI becomes a tutor, not just a red pen. So you have the action, correct the learner to short paragraph. Then you have the purpose. So why is done? So you need to specify what the learner is at the level, what it needs to do with it, and then the expectation. So the output needs to have all those stuff included, I mean, vocabulary list, etc. So each prompt has strength and weakness. So, of course, Ape has his own. Ape is great because it's fast and clear, it's very simple, there are 3 steps. But for very complex creative tasks, it can sometimes be a little bit too rigid, and it's perfect for your daily standard tasks. So you have something simple, doesn't require too long to prepare. So it's actually one of the easiest framework that you can use. Okay, so the next framework then we're going to have a look at is called RACE, is Reach, Act, Convert, Expectation. So while often used in marketing, it's a fantastic prompt for designing a student journey or an interactive lesson. So in this example, we tell the AI that its role is an experienced ESL teacher. We ask it to create an interactive dialogue about making polite requests for an Italian learner. The expectation part ensures that AI provides follow-up feedback for the student. So you see, the action is create short interactive dialogue. The lesson, so the context is the lesson topic. So exactly what we want, and then expectation gives all the step that we need. Then we go to have a look at the strength and weakness. So strength, we can see that race is excellent for long-term planning, but it takes a little bit more time to design the prompt initially, because the other one that we saw before, it was the ape, was very simple and fast. Here it's a little bit more complex, but it's better used when you have a very specific learning goal in mind. So there is this downside that it takes more time, but it gives you better result if the task is complex. Then we go to the next framework that is called COAST. Now, COAST stands for constant, context, objective, actions, steps, and target. This is the gold standard for complex multi-step instructions, because as we see, there is the steps part that is the main part. Now, in the example, you'll see, for example, the first one is context. Here I call the character because that is a supportive tutor. That's why we call it character. Tutor gives a step-by-step scenario for a role play. It ensures that the AI doesn't just give the answer, but actually acts as the waiter in the restaurant scenario. So you have their objective, the actions of really what he has to go, create a short interactive role play, the step, explain the key expression needed for offering food, provide a model, mini dialogue, start the role play where you act as a waiter, prompt the student to respond. So you literally give them what they need to do step by step. This is, of course, is way more complex. So we going up with the complexity of the prompt. So it's incredibly precise and reduce ambiguity. Although to design it will require a way more structured idea. You already need to have it in your head what you really want it to do, and probably you need to give it a couple of try before getting the exactly right thing that you want. So you will have to write it down, then you go, you try it out, and then if you see that it doesn't really work, then probably you will have to adjust it. Next one in the line is roses. Roses focus on the solution. So it's great when you have a specific problem, like a student draft that is grammatically correct but sounds unnatural or awkward. So in this case, you have role, objective, scenario, expected solution, and steps. Let's go, for example, with an example for email writing. So in this scenario, the AI acts as a writing coach. It rewrites a student email to a professor, explains the changes, invites the student to try rewriting a sentence themselves, and it's highly interactive. You are an AI language tutor. Improve the student writing by rewriting the short paragraph. The learner is writing a short email to university, so you explain what the contest is. Then what this type of solution you want, so a corrected and improved version of the email, a bullet point explanation, a simple suggestion, and then the whole step that it needs to go through. Read the student draft email, rewrite it to be polite, highlight the most important changes. No, so, but and again, even this one, because it's so complex, it has his downside because of course it's very strategic, improves relevance, but it's very slow to set up. And it doesn't make sense for simple tasks. So you really need to understand when you really want something like this, because it's quite complex and you really need to have clear ideas. So sometimes it's also useful to start with a simple prompt, then that one will give you inspiration to write a more complex one, because you will realize, oh, here I need this, oh, here I need that. So you write it down, and then after you will build a more complex prompt. I understand that this all requires time, but once you nailed the perfect prompt, then you will not have to do it again. And once you have the great prompts for a certain type of exercise, a certain type of task, that's it. You will save a lot of time later on. And the last one that I want to show you is called trace. This is means task, request, action, contest, and expected output. Now, this is our final one and is the most comprehensive, including action and request, a separate step to ensure that the AI knows exactly what the final deliverable should be. Let's have a look at the example where the AI takes a paragraph about a weekend trip and performs a line-by-line analysis. It's essentially creating a customized worksheet for that specific creating a customized worksheet for that specific student in seconds. So the task help a learner improve a short paragraph written in French by making it more natural, correcting grammar, improving explanation. You are an AI French tutor specialized in helping AI to be one student express themselves more naturally while understanding why corrections are made. So you see, then you have the action, read the learner's paragraph, correct the grammar, explain the correction, provide the brief. Then you have the context scenario. The learner is writing a short message to a French friend, so you explain what's happening, and then what you expect to come out of it. Correct version of the paragraph, line by line explanation, a list of 2-3 useful expression, follow up task, etc. For strength and weakness about trace, this is a thorough and reusable. But once you build a trace prompt for French writing correction, you can use it all year. But the initial setup time, even in this case, is quite hard though. So if it's a very long design time, but and sometimes because more prescriptive, more specific you get, less space the AI have to use creative exploration. So you need to always to keep that in mind, that if you use a prompt that is very specific, then you will start limiting the AI, what the AI can come up with. That depends on the task, is a good thing. or it might be a bad thing. So it depends on what are your goals. Because of course, if you want the AI to be able to propose a new, I don't know, you building questions on a text or on a video, so you want the AI to be able to be a little bit more creative, while if it has to correct some I don't know, a writing task, like in this case, maybe you will need to be a little bit more prescriptive so it doesn't go crazy and correct things that you're not actually interested for the AI to correct. Now, framework comparison. Compare frameworks by strength and typical use. So APE is a task clarity content creation. The raise or more audience journey and usually marketing, but I know that in this case for us it's not that relevant. Coast is more for planning. Trace is more for research and analysis. So you need to realize that those frameworks, they're not mm, built just for teaching. We adapt them for teaching, but they also build for other things, and for other things that you might use for work in the office. Structure against flexibility. So this is what I was telling you before. Always balance structure with creativity. Some tasks need a rigid framework to be repeatable, while others just need a flexible prompt to let the AI creativity shine. What are the next step? The best way to start is small. Take a task you do every day, such as writing a vocabulary quiz, and then try applying in one of these frameworks, and then refine it based on the result and save what works. So you really need to go step by step at the beginning. Then you will get better and better with time, so you will need less work with time. But at the beginning, it's important to start simple and then build from there. Don't worry about iterate. So the AI will give you responses, and then you might ask the same thing and to be more specific or to adjust something. And then you write down what worked and what didn't, what type of instruction worked and what type of instruction didn't work. And a useful thing, if you want, is to share those things with your colleague of the same language, or sometimes even different languages. But the best in this case would be teachers that they teach your or the same language that you teach. And this one is particularly important if you want to build a prompt library within the teachers. So collect effective prompts, tag by framework and use case, version updates based on feedback, share best practice across the team. So all the Uzbek teachers will share their prompts and what it did work. And in this way, you will be able to compare what type of wording it worked better in that specific language. Sometimes it's good also to give a prompt in English, although asking to then work in a specific language. So you write the prompt in English, but then you ask to act in a specific language. Like before, we wrote the prompt in English, but it was for French writing. So yes, the prompt library is a very important part. Use metrics to evaluate prompt effectiveness. So how do you know it's working? Look at the quality. Is it accurate? The efficiency. Did it save you 20 minutes? And the satisfaction of your students. So you keep a specific metrics, and then based on that you say, okay, this prompt works, this prompt doesn't, because I produced that, but actually by the time that the AI interacts with the student and they try to figure it out, what is wrong, whether it was faster if I would just tell him. But it might also be they say, yes, it would be faster if I tell him, but I can't tell him every time that he writes something if he's wrong or right. There's not enough time of the day to correct everything that he does. So maybe it will save time in that way, meaning that you will be able to focus on other things while he's correcting his writing or something else with the AI. So it's not just about I do it faster than the AI, but also what can I do when the AI is doing that with my student? So you consider also that. As I said, iteration and refinement are very important. So prompting is a loop. Test variation, compare the outputs, document the winners, so which prompt win. This is how you move from a beginner to an expert AI user. And finally, embedding prompting in workflows. So make this part of your routine. Train your team. When I say train your team, it means collaborate with your team, with the other teachers of your language. Include the prompts in your standard lesson planning procedure, and always keep safety and compliance at the center of your work. So if you start using prompting in everyday preparing lesson, you will get stronger and stronger. You will get your team, so all your teacher of your language, especially if you work together, especially when you teach together the same student, you will get stronger and stronger, and at one point you will get way faster, and you will save a lot of time. I hope this presentation was helpful, and I'll see you next time. Ciao ciao.